Hi everyone, welcome to another video. My name's Rich and today I'm at Bolesworth Castle in Cheshire for Hampson's classic performance and supercar auction. Really excited, there's some lovely cars here, all types from kind of 1950s onwards. And it's an absolutely wonderful setting here in the grounds of Bolesworth Castle that you can see behind me. Just wonderful on a day like this. So they have cars out here which are generally slightly lesser quality. And then the cars inside, which are generally the higher quality, more expensive ones. I'm particularly excited today. There's a few things I'm interested in. There's a very nice AMG, an RS4, an M6, so some of the modern stuff. Particularly excited today because when I came to this auction last time, there were some real bargains. And I was a bit miffed that I didn't manage to buy anything actually. I wasn't fully prepared for buying that day. Who knows if it'll be the same, but 55% of the lots here are no reserve. So there is potential for some bargains. All of those ones I just listed that I'm interested in are no reserve. So I'm going to go and have a look around. The auction's just starting. I've already looked at most of the cars and you'll join me looking around those cars. So I'll look around most of these cars in here. As you can see, some lovely things. But just a quick comment, I watch a lot of videos on YouTube, but a lot of people commenting on the prices of what these fetch at auction. I really don't think you can make an assessment unless you go and view the car. There may be things that aren't visible in the photos, etc. So I think you can only really judge if the price of the car was good, bad or indifferent if you actually come and see the car and make an assessment yourself. Anyway, I'm not having a go at anyone in particular, just my thoughts. So here we go, starting with the CL63 AMG. Yeah, this is awesome. I love AMGs. This has only done 1,500 miles, been dry stored for years. Looks incredible. 1,500 miles, you'd expect it to be faultless, spotless. It is. You know, it's in pretty much as new condition other than that tiny mark I showed you on the wheel. Obviously these were based on the S-Class. This would have been based on a W221, as I say, 2007. I love this pillarless look, lovely inside, super luxurious. It's guided at 25 to 30,000 pounds. Normally I would not even bother looking at these super low mileage cars because you pay such a premium. But I think, you know, that's actually reasonable. Quad tip exhaust as usual of these 63 engines. It's an epic sounding engine. Although my M157 was much more powerful, in many ways better, I prefer forced induction. This one undoubtedly the better sounding. And as I say, the M156 engines, this is the naturally aspirated 6.2 V8, 525 horsepower. I missed my AMG. So onto a C3 Corvette. 1968, chrome work's not great on the rear. Sorry, the light's a bit bad, very strong sunlight here. It's obviously very yellow. It's come from Florida in 2017 after a restoration. If you've seen any of my previous videos, you'll know I have a soft spot for these. It's got the small block V8, I think that's 5.4 is it, 300 odd horsepower, 4-speed manual. Yeah, great look. I get a bit nervous about these though, in terms of potential rust underneath. This is offered with no reserve though, so really interesting to see what this goes for. You know, you can see obviously some rust on some components here, but I wouldn't like to say how bad it might be elsewhere. So this is cool, this has got a load of attention. This OPEL MONZA GSE, 1985, apparently one of only 11 on UK roads. Looks in great condition, possibly a bit of rust there, but yeah, looks pretty good. Some minor blistering there, but you know, this is a 1985 car. These were a 3-litre inline 6, limited slip diff. Look at that, I love the look of it. I can't remember the last time I've seen one of these. Had upgraded suspension, and look at this interior. It is in brilliant condition. And maybe it's just me, but I think these kind of brown material velour type interiors are really coming back in fashion. Or maybe it's just me who's growing to like them. It's got loads of paperwork, only 36,000 miles, no reserve. I would love this car, but I expect it'll probably go for a bit more than I'm willing to pay. So onto this crazy RS6. It is what you see when you first walk in. It's so striking, particularly with these Vossen bronze wheels. It's a Vorsprung carbon edition, so top of the range with an absolute shed load of carbon all over it. You can see this runner has some damage.
It's had a wrap, and I'd go as far to say it's not the best. Dripping in carbon though, you can see the rear spoiler here, the rear diffuser, all carbon. I think this was something like 135 grand new. Looks in fairly good condition other than this peeling wrap, which is a real shame. It's stage 2, so this has got full exhaust, intake, intercooler, and stage 2 map, running 800 horsepower and 1200 Newton meters. Yeah, more peeling. I mean, this is unfortunately a very bad job on a very expensive car. Inside, more carbon. Looks lovely in here. I had a car with almost 1100 Newton meters, my E63 AMG. This has 1200. I mean, it's a crazy amount of torque. This must really shift. What a car. Yeah, nice metal paddles, but still too small for my liking, but at least they're metal in the RS6. Ultra modern interior. This is 2021, so as you'd expect, panoramic sunroof, and these awesome seats. I love these Audi RS quilted seats. And that Audi is no reserve. So, Lamborghini Gallardo, 2006. This has really become a modern classic now. Again, some bronze wheels. I'm not sure it's the look I'd go for, but a nice looking car and an unusual colour as well. I think one of 5 Rossoletto in this country. 5 litre V10 obviously in these. They had automated manual. It's kind of robotised manual. I suggest they'd feel fairly outdated nowadays, but let me know if I'm wrong. Revs to 8,000 RPM. They sound great, these V10s. Looks in great condition, and these are, quite an affordable supercar. 55 to 65,000 it's guided at. So onto a car I'm actually quite interested in, this B8 Audi RS4. So this is 2013. It's got a bit of damage on these wheels. These are aftermarket wheels, obviously, and these wavy discs, which means they're very expensive, meant to dissipate heat a lot. One odd tyre on this car. Yeah, I don't know why you haven't seen these wavy discs on other cars. Perhaps they didn't work so well, but probably won't come out. But the paintwork isn't brilliant. Nothing particularly wrong, just needs a good polish or detail. I get more put off by the one odd tyre, which is a bit strange. I think the others are all Michelins. So these were naturally aspirated 4.2 V8, 444 horsepower. Criticism of this car was that it lacked torque. I owned a B8 S4, which was highly modified, so that was a 3 litre supercharged, running about 480 horsepower, but would have had a load more torque and been significantly faster than this car. Yeah, it's a well-used car. This has had dogs in the back, lots of hair remaining, but no problem there. Gas struts, I've never seen this before. I'm not sure if this is a common problem. Quite rusty, so maybe there's a leak on a seal somewhere, easily be replaced. So yeah, I'm as I say, very interested in this. Again, it's no reserve. It's had an exhaust and downpipes, obviously the wheels. 74,000 miles, decent history. It's a well-used family car. It's not a minter, that's for sure, but nothing I've seen to put me off. Yeah, I suspect I'd find it a bit slow, if I'm honest. You have to really rev these to get the most out of them. I mean, it's not really slow, don't get me wrong, but I think compared with some forced induction cars I have and have had. So McLaren MP412Cs, 2012. What a car. These are now becoming quite affordable. This one guided at 60 to 70,000. What a lot of performance for that money. Bit of paint damage there. These had a 3.8 litre V8, just under 600 horsepower at 7,000 RPM. Looks in great condition. It's only done 15,000 miles with a full McLaren history. I actually looked at potentially buying one of these last year. In the end, just a little bit more than I really wanted to spend on the car. I ended up with a Noble in M12 GTO-3R instead. But these are hard to beat for value for money, I think. Yeah, maybe one day. So on to something completely different, a 1981 Vauxhall Chevette. I love these, but this one isn't in great condition. It's had 2 owners over 40 years, recommissioned in 2024 after quite a few years off the road. You can see it's you know, not in brilliant condition, nothing too bad, but obviously some rust here around the windows, etc., sills, front bumper. Looks better inside, looks quite nice. 1.3 engine, 42,000 miles, no reserve, so you know, you can't argue with that. And now onto this car. I love it, I think in part because of the colour, also because it's estate. 1988 Ford Escort, it's a 1.6 GL, but just in incredible condition. It's only 17,000 miles. It's been stored for 20 years. Look at this interior, it's just, I mean, it's pristine, incredible. I think this is the one that was on Bangers and Cash. It's guided at 6,000 to 8,000. I'm pretty sure it'll make that. Yeah, if I had unlimited money and space, I'd probably bid on that. So again, something completely different. So 2022 911 Carrera 4 GTS. So I think this is top of the range. Carrera 992 era. I'm not very good on Porsches. I think these had just shy of 470 horsepower from the 3-litre twin turbo, 22,000 miles. This has got the lightweight package, so you can see these carbon seats, which look pretty awesome actually. Cat S though, guided at 70 to 80. This car has been getting a lot of attention. It's a 1967 Mustang Fastback. It's officially sanctioned Gone in 60 Second Eleanor recreation. So you can see all the logos all over this car, in fact. So it's a pretty awesome build actually. I think built in the States and then imported possibly. It's got a small block V8 in it, 350, 400 horsepower-ish. And also adding to the potentially the value of this car, owned by Thierry Henry for 10 years. It looks brilliant, I have to say. I'm not a huge fan of American cars, but this looks lovely. It's got quite a big stereo in there. Lovely inside, you see the logo on the centre armrest. Yeah, beautiful condition. And the logos all over the dials, etc. as well. So guided at 140 to 160,000 pounds, a lot of money. Just going past this Fiat 500 at Bath to look at this 2003 DAX Cobra. So one of the most famous AC Cobra copies, if you like. This has apparently got a bored out 5-litre Chevy engine to, I guess, 427 cubic inches, is that? Which raised power from 250 to over 400 bhp. It's got massive great rear wheels. I'm not sure they would stand it on the DAX Cobras. And of course it's got this fastback hardtop. Quite rare to see these with a hardtop. And they look quite different. 5-speed manual. I mean, this is lovely. I absolutely love it. 30 to 35,000 pounds. That looks reasonable value. This is a 1971 Series 3 GINETTA G15. This has the bigger 1-litre Hillman Imp engine, which has just been rebuilt. No reserve. Look at this engine hanging over here, the chassis. Amazing. Uh, 2008 Maserati GranTurismo S. So these S's had the 4.7 bigger V8 Pininfarina design, of course. And that engine was in quite a few Ferraris as well. I think the 430, 458, early Californias, and the Maserati HC. So that 440 bhp in this. Bit of a dink here on the door. Looks in fairly good nick though. And these sound awesome. Very, very red inside. Definitely striking. And you can see that new kind of head unit, Apple CarPlay, huge screen, aftermarket, of course. 2+2, small back seats. Great condition inside. And this is, I think, 6-speed, automated manual, robotised manual. And huge, look at this contrast with the RS6 earlier, the size of those paddles. So on to 1965 Lotus Cortina. So this is a really cool car, obviously a race car and kitted out as such. Never actually been road registered apparently, this. So it's a 1600 engine, twin cam, Ford Kent engine. You see the Lotus badging. Yeah, very much a race car, on carbs, rebuilt engine and guided at 30,000 to 35,000 pounds. So a very orange Focus ST. I had one of these, a Mark II. I had it in blue, 5-door. This is a 3-door in orange. ST2, I guess, because it's non-leather seats. They're great fun. This has had, I think, a stage 1 remap and is on high-back springs, which is exactly what I did to mine. Everyone needs a boost gauge in their life. Yeah, this is guided at 4 to 6, which sounds reasonable. It's in very good condition, low mileage, well looked after. So another of my favourite cars from years gone by, Mitsubishi Lancer. It's the Evo 6 Tommy Makinen edition, obviously, so one of the best Evos ever, I suppose. Had upgraded suspension, turbo, all sorts in the Tommy Makinen edition. Paintwork's not great. Is that a bigger front mount intercooler? I have to say the interior is fairly tatty. I mean, the notes said presented as new. I mean, that's just not right. Look at this seat. I don't agree with that, I'm afraid. This was imported in 2019, 69,000 miles. It's guided at 25 to 30. A variable boost controller, I guess. So obviously got a few more mods. I saw one of these in red sell for 75 grand a couple of weeks ago, but red makes a big difference and that was fully restored. So this is a 2006 911 Carrera S. So this had, I think, the bigger 3.8 engine, 350 horsepower, in prime bore score era. But this has apparently been checked and found to be okay, and only 29,000 miles. Yeah, it looks very nice. I think I'd want more supportive seats in this. But yeah, guided at 28 to 32,000. No reserve on this MX-5. It's a late Mark 1 1996 limited edition Merlot edition. Looks lovely. Had a few extras on this limited edition. I think one of 600. It's the 1.8 engine, but only 33,000 miles. And then this Capri, it's a 1985 2.8 injection. So, you know, one of the best Capris. These had obviously 5-speed manual, limited slip diff as standard. Only 50,000 miles and a good history. It looks really nice, actually, this. I've seen some pretty ropey ones recently. Guided at 14 to 16, which sounds fair. Yeah, really good condition in here. Honda S2000 here. So obviously with a hard top, don't always see that, factory hard top. Famous, of course, these for revving to almost 9,000 RPM, giving about 240 brake. It's a bit of a dent and scrape on that wheel arch. I've heard mixed reviews from people who've owned these. Some people love them, some people say they're not so great. Guided at 12 to 14. Again, probably sounds about right. Another car I'm potentially interested in, 2013 M6 GRANCOUPE, so based on the F10 M5. And this is the GRANCOUPE because it has 4 doors M6, and I think looks way better than the 2-door M6. This is running a MAP, 680 bhp. It's a 4.4 litre V8 twin turbo. Full BMW service history. It's got a bit of white worm here on the wheel. Quite a few stone chips, but you know, it's the age it is, and that's to be expected. Nothing to be concerned about, I don't think. Bit of a crack there. Otherwise looks fairly good condition. I've really grown to like lighter interiors now, and I think this looks really good actually. It's aged pretty well, I'd say. I think this is a good era of car as well. You've still got plenty of buttons and not touchscreen. Obviously, just in my opinion. Yeah, not a huge fan of touchscreen. Jaguar XJS, this one looks pretty good, I have to say. It's a 4 litre AJ6, so 6-cylinder, not the V12. These are about 250. And it looks pretty good underneath. I've had a look, it doesn't come out on camera, but the sills and arches look solid. And lovely inside. I mean, this is a pretty good one. And no reserve, 98,000 miles. I think this could be a bargain. So 1996 Corrado VR6. These have really gained in popularity and price in recent years. 2.9 V6. Had apparently 4 grand spent on the engine a few years ago. It is high mileage, 142,000 miles. Guided at 6 to 8. Probably looks a bit steep for the mileage. But it's in good condition, very good condition. And then onto a 1988 205 GTI. This is the 1.6, which I believe had a closer range gearbox, which some people prefer. Dry stored for 25 years, this one, and recently out and MOT'd. There's spots of rust in places. It's no reserve though. Interior looks pretty good for these. Sometimes they're pretty worn. Fairly high miles, 136,000, but you can see there's bits of rust bubbling through kind of all over the place. Nothing terrible, and no reserve, you can't complain. So Jensen FF, it's a Mark II, looks in decent-ish condition outside. Obviously the 6.3 Chrysler V8 in here. Only a 3-speed auto, I think, which probably lets it down. Plenty of torque from that engine though. Lovely interior, look at this. Beautiful, looks great condition. So the 4-wheel drive, these are the FF of course. I think it stood for Ferguson Formula. Stored for a long time and owned for 18 years. Again, another no reserve car, could be a bargain. 2004 Evo 8 FQ 340. So perhaps the sweet spot, you know, they do a FQ 400 I think this era, which is meant to be absurdly laggy and almost undrivable in some conditions. This has had about 20,000 spent on it on mods. Evo 9 Turbo, loads of other stuff. I expect it's running some decent power. Yeah, it looks in pretty good nick. 73,000 miles. It's a lot of performance for your money. Guided at 20 to 25. Seems potentially a little high for me, but I'd probably want to check the underside of this as well. Yeah, it's in good condition. And you can see the limited edition FQ 340 stamp here. Interesting car here. This is a 1989 Renault GTA V6. I'm not actually sure if I've seen one of these before. Yeah, obviously V6, 5-speed manual, looks brilliant, I love it. Great and quite distinctive design. Not sure it's in fantastic condition. The note said it's in very good condition or very fine condition. I'm not sure it is, if I'm honest. I think that might have been the owner's notes rather than the auction house's. You know, cracked headlights, for example, lenses. I mean, these are minor things, but just pointing them out. Had 5 grand spent on it recently. This door is extremely wobbly. And look at this seat. I mean, I don't think you can call it very good condition when it's looking like that. But just my opinion. Fairly worn, but look at this dash. It's so 80s. I absolutely love this. Yeah, certainly of the era. And that is guided at 8 to 10,000. Struggle to see it making that. Ford Zodiac 1961 Mark II. Restored in 2011. This looks lovely. This was kind of luxury car, 6-cylinder, 2.6 I think. 3-speed manual, guided at 4 to 6,000. It's a lovely looking car and in really nice condition. Inside as well, look at this. Yeah, I've still never been tempted by a car from this era other than my Land Rovers, but I'm starting to like them more and more, I have to say. And another car from a similar era, actually slightly older, 1957 Vauxhall Velox, 59,000 miles. Again, 2.3 litre, 6-cylinder car, beautiful looking thing. This is no reserve. Looks lovely. I love the colour as well. Yeah, maybe one day I'll get into one of these. The prices are getting so cheap now as well. I mean, this looks really nice condition. And such a 50s dial there. So in 1974, I think, yes, Series 3 Land Rover. Bit of rust on the rear cross member here. Yeah, you know, you can get away with this. Not the best paint, shall I call it, on the outside on the Land Rovers. Doesn't really matter. This would concern me more though. Quite a rusty bulkhead here. Looks like it's kind of been treated a bit. Footwell looks a bit rusty as well. Unfortunately, when the bulkheads go, it's really difficult to replace those, and expensive unless you do it yourself. It's guided at 6 to 8. I personally wouldn't touch it at that price with that rust. Potentially interested in this Ford Mondeo ST220 2003. So these ran a similar 3 litre V6. That's the basis of my Noble engine. Of course, no turbos on this, running 220 bhp. Wheels are really shot. Unfortunately, they're all like that. There's some scratches fairly deep on on the paintwork. A bit of rust coming through. This is a no reserve car. There's a dent on the driver's door, which you can probably make out. Again, none of this really visible online. That's no criticism. You just have to come and see the cars to know what they're really like. Yeah, it looks pretty decent in here for the high miles, like 139,000 miles. Owned for 17 years. Just a good, honest car, no reserve. This is the classic example of you need to come and see a car. I thought this looked good online. And again, I'm not saying anything bad, it's just you can't see the reality of a car and judge its price without coming to see it. You know, a bit of rust down here on the sill. Obviously, I'm not a fan of the MG stickers, but they could come off. But this is really, really wet in here. There's obviously a major leak. You can see all this condensation. It smells horrible and damp, fairly worn. This is just a no-go, unfortunately. It's obviously got a fairly major leak. Guided at 6 to 8. You know, these are great because they run the Mustang 4.6 V8, 260 brake. Quite collectible now, but 6 to 8 is for a good one, not this one, I'm afraid. So onto a Lotus 7 copy, a Westfield 1996 Westfield, running a 2.1 litre Pinto on carbs, fast road cam, 150 bhp. I actually have a similar type of car, a GBS 0. This is on a Q plate, so obviously not factory built. Apparently had a £7,000 engine rebuild, and the guide price is 6 to 8. And you know, that carbon bonnet and wheel arches, it's had a lot spent on it. You probably struggle to have more fun in a car at that price than this, to be honest. This is a beautiful looking Lancia, Beta Monte Carlo. Beautiful. I think Pininfarina designed. These are a mid-engine 2 litre 4-cylinder, 86,000 miles. This is guided at 10 to 12. I can't remember the last time I've seen one of these. Late 70s. Looks really nice condition inside as well. It's another one I'd have if I had unlimited money and space, I think. Like lost a speaker there, I think. So this is just awesome. I guess I'm fairly sad. I have watched quite a lot of YouTube videos of Peterbilt trucks in America. They sound epic. This is a 1996 Peterbilt 379. It's enormous. When you see this in the flesh, it probably won't come out in camera, but absolutely enormous, in incredible condition, so shiny. And I think these ran a 14-litre Cummins 6-cylinder engine. It came to the UK in 2005. To give you some idea, the front grille there is taller than me, and I'm 6 foot. So, you know, that bonnet is probably 6'6", to give you some idea. And obviously a huge living area as well on the back, unlike European trucks, which tend to have a smaller living compartment behind or over the cab. These have a large living area behind to make the truck cab look a lot bigger. So Defender 90 here, what's this, 1989, had 17 grand spent on it in the last 4 years, including an engine rebuild. So I guess it's a 200 TDI from 89. So obviously it looks lovely. It's done 236,000 miles though, but it's guided at 14 to 16,000. Now, yes, it's had 17 spent on it, but these just don't fetch that kind of money, I don't think. You know, I sold one which had been modified very similar to this and in great condition. I think I sold it for 9,000 a couple of years ago. You know, a bit of rust here on the chassis. You can't see quite how deep that goes because it's got stuff on top. Rear cross member quite rusty. That'll need replacing, I should think, at some point. Yeah, I mean, it's been done really nicely and no criticism. It's just, I don't think they fetch that much money. Looks great though. And there's a few Landies here, so this is quite unusual actually, a 130. So 1989 crew cab 130 wheelbase. You don't see that many, so I guess this is a 200 TDI as well. 126,000 miles. They are pretty rare, the 130s, but they also don't sell for that much. So guided at 16 to 18, again, I don't see it making that. It looks very nice, obviously had quite a lot spent on it, but yeah, I can't see it selling. This one is no reserve, however, 2004, so this is a TD5. Again, you can see it's been updated at the front, LED lights, etc. All of these look lovely. This is 116,000 miles, owned for 15 years. But this one does have some rust issues, and maybe that's why it's no reserve. I mean, it's not yet affecting structural integrity, I would say. Not that I'm an MOT tester, but I wouldn't touch this. This rust is set in. Yeah, looks nice though. So 2007 DB9, so obviously 5.9 litre V12 in these, and a very interesting wrap. Not probably to my taste. It's been well looked after, it's had a gearbox recondition, 14 stamps, 72,000 miles, which is you know, not too bad for these. But yeah, I'm just not a fan of the wrap, to be honest, on this car. And I think that will affect its value, personally. I think it's more of a niche taste with a wrap on DB9 like this. Guided at 18 to 22, I don't think it'll sell. Lovely little GT6, Triumph GT6, 1973. This is kind of built as a kind of a resto mod. It's had 13 grand spent on it just on the parts and new body panels, etc. I'm not entirely sure how these panels are meant to fit. I think the bonnet might not be quite on right. Help me out here if these panel gaps are normal on a GT6. I have seen some big panel gaps on these before, but this looks very large. Had an engine rebuild and no reserve. Again, another no reserve here. This Impreza WRX is not an STI despite the badging. It had a lot spent on it. I've been speaking with the owner. So this is the 2.5 turbo, the less reliable engine than the 2 litre, and hence it's had a rebuild, £4,000 rebuild. It's got loads of mods, remapped to about 320, I think it's got intercooler, different exhaust, which apparently isn't too loud. No reserve, as I say, so, you know, quite a lot of car for your money. Interesting car here, Mazda RX-8, so obviously these run the rotary VAUXHAll engine, about 240 horsepower from the 1.3. Suicide doors, which I love, and I looked at getting one of these instead of my Mark II Focus ST many moons ago. I was put off, you know, there's question marks about the engine reliability. This one actually had a rebuild in 2015. It's got racing suspension, decat, no reserve. You know, it's a bit tired, there's some rust bubbling through, and no reserve. Again, need to come and see this because that wasn't obvious online. So here is a X308 era, I think, yep, Jaguar XJ8. Low owners, 56,000 miles. And again, another no reserve. So these had the 4-litre V8. It's a Cat D, but looks in lovely condition. I think this could be a bargain. And then onto this X100 era, a late X100 XK8 2006. This has been getting a lot of attention. Convertible, so this is the naturally aspirated 4.2 V8, 42,000 miles, loads of history, looks absolutely lovely. Interior as well. Personally, when there's the supercharged available, I wouldn't go for the naturally aspirated. This is a cool little car, a Nissan Pulsar GTI-R. So these were rally homologations and ran 230 horsepower in this tiny little car. It's not in great condition, if I'm honest. Just a bit tatty. You know, it's 1991. Owned for 15 years. It's been restored, had lots of welding. It's got no MOT though. It's no reserve. Looks like it's had a lot of mods, so I'm guessing this is a bigger front mount intercooler, so could be running some pretty big power, I suppose. I'd suggest it's probably one for the brave though, given it's no MOT, looking a bit tired. So this is a Mark III Spitfire, looks really nice. Another no reserve car, 1962. Obviously a bit of rust under here, which looks superficial, but just probably need to be checked out a bit more thoroughly than I'm able to with the time I've got. Looks very nice in here. Beautiful looking car, owned for over 40 years. And I don't know if I've ever seen one of these. It's an Evo 3, obviously Mitsubishi Lancer Evo 3. So this is 1995. Doesn't say it's an import, but it obviously was, because I don't think Evos came for UK sale until the Evo 6. Apparently one of only 15 on UK roads, owned for 19 years. Rebuilt engine, looks like it's had some mods there as well. Pretty good condition. Another no reserve car. Yeah, seats are excellent. So this VX220 has been getting quite a lot of attention. It's supercharged, so it's developed with Lotus, of course. And this is a really nice looking 89 RS Turbo. Been off the road for a few years, 48,000 miles, guided at 18 to 22, but it looks really nice condition. Fat exhaust here. Yeah, unfortunately this VX220 is a little bit tatty around the edges. Interior particularly. It's 110,000 miles, I think. One of 100 in yellow. It's got lightened flywheel, new clutch, etc, etc. And back to this RS Turbo, this is reserve of 18 to 22,000. And then a CL500. So this is based on the W220 S-Class, year 2000. Unfortunately, a bit of rust around the arches, nothing too major. But a no reserve car, you can't argue. The bulletproof M113 V8 in these. So it's a 5 litre, 300 horsepower. It's only 62,000 miles. But yeah, if you get a bit of rust on these, again this arch, and also, I'm not saying this one has, but they can be quite problematic with some of the electrics on these. As you can see, a lot of electrics to go wrong. So well equipped for the era though. Yeah, looks very familiar to the S600 W220 I had in here. So the ubiquitous E46 M3, see these at pretty much every auction I go to. It's a manual, desirable manual, 2003, 140,000 miles, so pretty high, well looked after, recent Vanos service, guided at 10 to 12. For me personally, that's a little bit steep for the miles. I think you can pick these up for 10 grand now. This is a 2002 Golf GTI. Bit of very minor rust around the arches, 25th anniversary edition. So 1.8 turbo, apparently it's got a new turbo, intercooler, clutch, re-built gearbox. Bit of rust here. I was speaking to the owner at length. It's also on aftermarket suspension, subtly lowered I think you'd say. Lovely looking interior. Yeah, this Mark 1 Escort, owned for 30 years. No reserve, but it's got a few issues as you can see, so. It's an Austin A40 Somerset, just walking past. And came to see this TVR, no, so it's one of the later wedge TVRs, the 350i, so this had a 3.5 litre Rover V8. It's not in great condition unfortunately, it's no reserve though. It was a great day here as usual, really enjoyed it. I hope you also enjoyed the video. I haven't come away with anything, so there were no massive bargains on cars that I wanted this time. Probably just as well, I have 10 cars at the moment, probably need to get rid of a couple before I buy any more. There were still some good bargains. The XJ8 went pretty cheaply, so did the XJS. I think the Corrado was good value, and a Jensen FF for 17,000 seems like great value to me. I'm not quite clear why the RX8 went for £750, maybe I was missing something there. On the flip side, there were some cars that went for a bit more than I thought they would do actually. Over 16 grand for the S2000 didn't seem particularly good for me. I was amazed that the Pulsar got over 7,000, and to me the M3 was quite strong at over 12,000 for that mileage. Anyway, great day. I'll be back again shortly, I'm sure. Please do subscribe and like if you've enjoyed the video, and watch out for more coming soon. And thank you for watching.